Okay, so I'm Briane Paul Samson from the Philippines, and I recently graduated from my PhD program at Future University Hakodate in Japan. I am now an assistant professor of computer science in the College of Computer Studies at De La Salle University in the Philippines. And I also co-direct the Center for Complexity and Emerging Technologies under the same college. So basically, my research focuses on the integration of human-computer interaction in complex systems research in developing civic media and technologies that promote pro-social behavior. I develop human-centered and interactive technologies that are designed to improve one's personal productivity and well-being, and to assess and manage urban mobility, transportation services, and disaster preparedness and response. At the same time, I investigate underlying complex dynamics of socio-technical systems like crowds, social networks, especially with the introduction of technological solutions. Currently, the work that I presented at the forum is about rethinking navigation applications as a civic technology that can encourage drivers to follow unselfish routes. If done right, this could help drivers develop sustainable mobility patterns and help future traffic management systems distribute drivers on a road network.
So this is about finding those routes. Can you tell us more about this? What kind of routes would you like your drivers to find?
Right. So when I say unselfish roots, specific to the studies that I just completed, I'm talking about roots that do not have much overlap with optimal routes or the fastest routes. So they are really novel routes for the driver, and they may be slower, relatively slower compared to the fastest route, but not the slowest, because we still want the drivers to arrive at their destinations at the fastest time possible. So so there are many algorithms out there that can identify, or that can filter alternative routes that are ideal for drivers. So here we're basically trying to balance not just being fastest, but also trying to see what alternative routes can actually help the system as a whole. So yeah, because if all drivers would just go and follow one route, there are negative externalities that can happen in the system, which can actually worsen the scenario, especially on smaller roads.
And how will this technology be deployed? Is it going to be part of somebody's navigation system in the car?
Yeah, so ideally, it's going to be part of navigation applications like Google Maps or Waze. So it's going to be in the voice guidance. It's going to be in the search results. So when people try to search for directions going to a destination, um, the information that I propose in my studies can be part of the search results. And in the in-car systems, they of course they can also be added. But right now, I'm focused on navigation applications because they are more, how do I say, they can be used by more people because it's not dependent on a car make and model. um, Even though your car doesn't have an in-car system when you bought it, you can still use a navigation application to actually um, find a route to your destination. So currently, that's where I'm envisioning my proposed solutions to be implemented.
And what made you go into this area?
All right. So I came from the Philippines, and living in the Philippines means I have to deal with traffic every day, even though I don't have a car. So I guess, and I guess that's typical in many nations in the global South. So because of that, I really wanted to contribute a technical solution to to the problem of decongesting our roads. And um, right now, there are many navigation applications out there, very popular ones, but I feel like they are being designed using just one template. Like the designers of these solutions are always assuming that drivers want the fastest route, and that is what is being given to them by default. And I think as a social technical system, that can have negative effects on the system as well, because if all drivers will be redirected to follow a specific route, a shortcut, um, that might make the traffic flow worse for the routes that they are being redirected to, because normally these routes are lower capacity roads, and we cannot really expect a high traffic flow on these routes. So yeah, and right now in these applications, I feel like there is less focus on the driver's behavior, how they will actually react and try to use the information provided by the navigation applications in making navigation decisions. So that's why I really wanted to focus on the HCI component, and try to mix it with uh, complex systems research later on in my research.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do you have like a favorite moment or a special experience that you've encountered in your research?
Yeah, so I can recall two. First one is since I'm doing HCI research, which is a very special subfield in computer science. I get to do a lot of interviews, and for me, doing these interviews with drivers is really eye-opening
So
because I'm
these
not.
are
Yeah.
interviews, are these interviews in order for you to understand drivers' behavior?
Yes, in order to understand drivers' behavior, and in my driving simulation studies, I also did some of those. After they did the experiments, I also tried to ask them why they made certain decisions. And for me, it was really interesting because I'm not really a driver myself. So um, I do not know what kinds of decisions and what's really happening on a driver's mind. So it's really interesting how they try to interpret the information that I provide in the prototypes that I show them, and how they use those information in making navigation decisions. So that's the first one, and I think that's a rare opportunity for many computer science students, because we were usually trained to just work with algorithms, work with programming languages, work with computers, not really talking much to other people. So it was a great moment for me in doing that kind of research. The second one would be trying to adapt to this whole pandemic situation, because my research involves a lot of interacting with participants. So I invite participants to come into the laboratory and drive using a driving simulator equipment. And because of the whole pandemic situation, I couldn't really do most of the previous protocol that I had when I tried to continue again my work. So I had the challenge of adapting to the situation. So I moved all of my experiments online. It was challenging, but it was, I guess it was a happy problem, because it really exercised my brains as to how I'm supposed to continue working on the project, how I'm still going to answer the research questions that I had, but really shift in terms of the methodology, without compromising anything in the research. So yeah.
That's fascinating. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.